We all kind of stop working for a couple days, especially this week. And Thursday and Friday, nobody's really actually getting anything done.
Right.
And for good reason. It's fun. And we all love the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
I think that when you've got brackets that go to chalk, it's really boring. I think that people are less excited. And even Baylor fans who are probably not happy, actually I won't say probably, are definitely not happy with how things are going. If that were any other team, they'd be thrilled that Yale won because they want the 12 over the 5. They want the upsets. They want the Cinderellas.
Yeah,
so
man.
that got me thinking, Max,
boy.
who were the preeminent Cinderellas in last year's Texas high school football?
So what are we basing this on?
I think we're basing this on teams we didn't expect much of in the preseason that ended up making strong playoff runs. So, for example, one could say that, I'll throw a name out, Waxahachie. Sure. We thought Waxahachie was going to finish last in their district.
Right.
Okay, we thought that they were going to a new coach
And some of us think they got screwed and would have done great in the playoffs.
Sure. There's all of that. But, I think they unequivocally overachieved my expectations.
Sure.
But they didn't get into the playoffs.
Okay.
And so that kind of disqualifies them from this conversation. I'm talking about teams we didn't expect a whole lot from that ended up making a deep playoff run. Mm-hmm. So the teams that I look at primarily, I'll start with one.
Okay.
We'll kind of move down the classifications.
Mm-hmm.
In 6A, I think it's Denton Ryan.
Yes.
Denton Ryan was a team that we thought...
I can get on board with that.
Denton Ryan was a team we thought would be fine.
Yeah.
Middle of the pack.
Hard to judge a sophomore class before it takes the field. Right.
They end up going 10-0, running through people all the way to a state quarterfinal. I think that Denton Ryan was probably the preeminent Cinderella story in Class 6A. In 5A, you've got a number of choices, I think. I think you could easily go with a team like Cedar Park Vista Ridge.
Sure.
A team that was kind of picked to finish fourth in their own district that ended up making the state semifinals.
Yeah.
Although I think that we would be remiss if we didn't pick the one. And the one had to be Frisco Lone Star.
There's no question.
Unquestionably.
Yeah. I mean,
tip of the cap to Vista Ridge. But what Frisco Lone Star did, Frisco Lone Star, first Frisco ISD team to ever make a state to ever make it to a semifinal, let alone a state championship game. They end up going 14-2, losing to Cedar Park in the 5A Division.
But honestly, giving Cedar Park a game. I mean,
sure.
You look at what Cedar Park did to people all year.
Throughout.
Yeah, that's a close game for a Cedar Park team.
In 4A, I think that you've got a couple options. You can go with Silsbee.
Sure.
Or, more importantly, what about state champion? What about La Vega? La Vega was a team. It's weird to call them a Cinderella because La Vega has always been a team that feels like they're on the cusp.
Yes.
And it seems like more than anything, they just met the expectations we already knew were there.
Sure.
And so it's weird because they've always been good, but this was the year they finally made that big push. I think you could go with them, or if you want to go with a smaller school, maybe a school like Center. But I think that they didn't have great expectations, but they ended up rising to a regional
Center
final.
Is one of those teams that I think about 3/4 of the way through the season you went, okay, I'm buying these guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You started figuring it out. Yeah. And in 3A, I don't know if there's another question here. 3A Division 2, I think bowling. Bowling goes 12-2, a team that we didn't expect a ton from. They don't have this great history, and then they soar in the quarterfinals, and they very nearly knock off East Bernard. They gave them all they wanted and more. I think they would probably be my pick for the Cinderella. West Rusk maybe is another opportunity there. And then in 2A. 2A is interesting because I'm not sure there was one team that really stood out and said, wow, we didn't expect it, because I think 2A tends to be a little bit more predictable. I think that generally speaking, we know because in a lot of ways, because the kids get a chance to play earlier, you see a lot more sophomores and juniors playing in the 2A level because they have to. And so I think that 2A is generally a little more easier to predict. But I thought Lovelady was a very interesting story. 12-2, they end up reaching a state semifinal, losing to eventual state finalist Refugio. I thought that Lovelady, a squad that they go 14-1, didn't expect a ton from them. I think they may have even been picked not even to win their own district. They ended up making it to the state semifinals. That would probably be my pick for the Cinderella. Is there anybody that I left out that's just like sticking out to you like a sore thumb?
Well, I think it's weird because if you just base it on preseason expectations, then probably not. I think those are right. Although I would say after the first 4 weeks, if you had told me that Galena Park North Shore was going to do what they were going to do, I'd have been like, I mean, I wouldn't have been stunned because they played some salty teams to start the season. But also, you just that start, you go, man, it's not always easy to recover from this.
And the other thing about North Shore is I put them kind of in that same La Vega category.
Right, you expect them to be one of the better teams.
They're a program now. La Vega, they're a program that's constantly been close, but maybe no cigar. A team that we've always been like. It seemed like they perennially start the year in the top 10, top 12 in our rankings, and they end up making a quarterfinal, and they run into a team that they just can't get past. They're not a disappointment type team, but this was the year that I think it all finally came together for them. That, they caught the breaks that we need to. We talked yesterday about luck. They caught the breaks they needed to. I don't think there was ever any question that they had enough talent. There was always tons, buku talent on those North Shore teams. I think it was just a matter of they were able to put it all together, and they caught a couple of breaks along the way.
Right.
That, I think you're right. That if you want to consider them a Cinderella, I think that's relatively acceptable. But those would be my Cinderella picks. Who are yours? Let us know. Tweet us at DCTF.